All that I crave when you're away, nights are sleepless. Do we need
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom, and as you can tell by the title, today we are going to be building the Pink Palace apartments home from Coraline in The Sims 4. So we are building on a 40 by 30 lot in Willow Creek, so you can probably expect this house to be fairly large and fairly expensive. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that costs 129,000 simoleons. Listen, I don't know how the price ended up being so high for a house that only has 3 bedrooms, and fair warning that I ended up using almost all the packs that I own, minus the kits, for this build. So if you are someone like me who does not own every single pack in the game, I hope you can still download this. I tried not to use a whole bunch, but I was really excited and really looking forward to making this exterior be as accurate-ish as possible. Based on the movie, based on screenshots from the movie and screenshots of, I want to say, a replica of the actual house, I'd say the front is like almost spot on. I looked to the replica I mentioned, I want to say is not from the actual movie, but it showed a front view and I think a side view, so I tried to kind of replicate that, and other than those two sides of the house, everything else is pretty much made up or just loosely based off what I remember from the movie. So yeah, if you want to download this lot, it'll be up in the gallery under my ID, CAITOM, but you can also find the tray files for free on my Patreon at caitomyt. It will be linked down in the description box below if you are interested. So first, let me establish that what I'm building right now is just a house and not like a movie accurate apartment place, because in the movie there is a basement and attic area that is also rented out to tenants, but I don't include that because the whole video is like 20 minutes long, and I think recently I've been trying to cut down on how long my videos are, so if I were to include the extra tenants, it would kind of be a lot longer, probably like 30 minutes, and I don't know how long I can talk about the house without it sounding really repetitive and really blocky. And I also ended up speeding up the footage to 725%. I usually have it at 700, and usually the duration is kind of okay. I don't know how much other Sims YouTubers speed up their videos, but this is just what works for me. If you were curious. So right now for the exterior of the house, there is a sort of wraparound porch that has a front entrance and a side entrance. And when we go to the back, there is a sunroom as well as a back porch. The back is something I didn't get to see, or a part of the house that I don't really remember. I know for sure that the house itself has a sunroom and it's not placed in the back, but just so this house isn't like super long and super large, I just decided to stick it in the back, just so like the whole shape of the house is kind of small enough for me to place furniture down and have it feel a little bit lived in, a little cozy, and not like some of these base game builds where they're just super empty rooms. Base game builds from the game that EA gave us, for clarification. But yeah, I think at this point we've started finally working on the landscaping. So about the landscaping, I don't really remember how it was in the movie, and all the reference pictures that I saw didn't really include any landscaping. So I just kind of stuck with a bunch of green bushes and some flowers. I believe I used a debug flower from Cottage Living. It has I want to say a baby pink swatch that I just kind of include around the build. The landscaping itself isn't really that complicated. I do attempt to try and put a stone path to the front, but after messing with it and realizing I don't want to have this stone path go all the way to the back, I cut it out and just decided to use also Cottage Living terrain paint. So the terrain paint that comes with cottage living is also a stone path, but has, I want to say, like pink dirt or pink gravel beneath it. I've never used it before now because I thought it looks a little silly and out of place. But you know, pink palace, the whole house exterior to be specific is very pink, so nothing like sticking to the theme. One thing you probably noticed is a staircase that I include on the front that leads up to the second floor to the side. So in the movie, that is a staircase that leads up to the attic, and I was debating whether or not to include it in this build because I wasn't going to be including an attic. But I thought it was like a nice little touch to kind of indicate that this is from the Coraline movie. I don't know what other house from a TV show or movie would have a staircase from the side. So I thought I would add it in. And also, when I built this, I recently bought the Werewolves pack, and they have an industrial looking ish, like a metal staircase, as you can see, that kind of fits well and like the overall look of the house. So I thought that was cute. I think now is actually where I decided to start putting the terrain paint. So as you can see, I opted for that base game pebble path. I'm not sure of the name, but the tiny pebbles, but I thought it looked a little out of place, so I just decided to use that cottage living terrain paint and continue it all around. And speaking of bringing it all around, I have it lead to the side entrance and also off the lot, and I realized there's like a very jarring edge that doesn't really blend in, so I don't know why I thought that would look a little nice. You'll probably see it in the screenshots, but yeah, we have now just finished almost all of the exterior, and we're now working on the backyard. So the backyard, I wanted to include maybe like a sunken area for gardening or maybe a pond of some sort, just because in the movie they actually have a gardening area, a communal gardening area that I want to say that the dad kind of leads, but I'm not sure. I'm a little rusty when it comes to remembering the Coraline movie, so this is just based off what I remember. But yeah, I think I would just say that my headcanon is that the dad, after the whole plot of the movie, is like super into gardening, and the whole Coraline family, they just come together with all of the rest of the tenants and just kind of hang around. I believe that's like the last scene of the movie. Yeah, so right here we're just working on the front porch. I do add some little plants near the front of the house, and on the side of the porch there is actually an outdoor seating area. I think I just grabbed some cats and living like set and just plop it down there, add a couple plants, and now we are working on the interior. So the floor plan for this house, I want to say, is kind of long, space wise. I know when I was kind of figuring out the floor plan for the first floor, the living room ended up being like super long, kind of not wide, but I do change that so it's more spacious, and there's just instead a long skinny hallway. So right here we're just cluttering up the kitchen. I think my original idea for the style of this kitchen was to be similar to the style that's shown in the movie. So the movie was released and set in 2009, and I was kind of thinking these people just recently moved in and maybe they don't have the time or money to kind of like spruce up the place. So I originally opted for these used counters from City Living, but I believe I changed that to Parenthood counters just because I thought it kind of fit the rest of the house a bit more. I wasn't really interested in making the house like super used up and beat up when it comes to like the furniture. So yeah, right here in the dining room I use the same, okay, not the same set, but like the same style of cats and dogs furniture for the dining room. And since there's a little bump out, that kind of 3 diagonal walled bump out, I do include a cats and dogs, a couch, some sort of seating area. I thought it would be kind of nice, maybe while her parents, Coraline, her parents are like working at the table with their laptop or computer or something, Coraline could just kind of lay down underneath this sign and just enjoy the warmth while her parents are working. You know, just because her parents are okay in the movie, I wouldn't say neglectful, but they prioritize their work a lot more. Especially there's like this one scene that comes to mind when Coraline is talking to her mom, and her mom's eyes are like glued to the laptop, just working. I believe they're both writers. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, but oh, I just hit my table. But yeah, they're both writers. So right around here is where I start working on the living room. If you've noticed, I actually added a piano in that sort of octagonal nook in the corner. I didn't know what else to do with that space. I didn't want to turn it into a bathroom because I don't think it would be very comfortable to have huge, almost floor-to-ceiling windows in a space where you kind of want your privacy. So instead, I stick a piano in there. I think another headcanon of mine is that the dad actually knows how to play piano. There's a scene in the movie where a sort of fake father is playing a piano. I believe he's singing like a song about Coraline or for Coraline. Maybe after all the problems were resolved, he kind of stuck to it. Or maybe after gardening, he kind of took up piano. Honestly, my headcanon is that maybe the dad becomes a stay-at-home dad and the mom kind of takes on a bit more work while also making sure to spend time with Coraline. And so he adopts gardening and piano as his home hobbies. Maybe he does some freelance or some remote kind of work. But yeah, all the other stuff I include in the living room would be a bookcase, I believe, from university, and I kind of add some stuff for the entryway. So there's some mail items that I got from City Living. It's like a stack of mail. They probably just grab it from their mailbox and stick it down on that little console table. I also include some seasons, a seasons item for decorating the house. I don't know if that's actually functioning. I did playtest this house just to make sure that all the necessities were like actually playable. But that is the one thing I didn't playtest. I mean, you could always just size it back up, put it on the ground, give it to your sim, and then, I don't know, place it next to the toy box. But yeah, about this hallway. There was a utility closet, I want to say, it's called a utility closet, that I add some debug items from StrangerVille. So, again, there's this scene in the movie where Coraline is exploring the new house and she finds a switch in this sort of utility closet that connects to the electricity in the house. She ends up flipping the switch and all her dad's work on the computer kind of wasn't saved and he kind of lost it all. I thought that was kind of cute to include just because it is attached to a hallway and we actually got light switches in the game. So yeah, there was a recent base game update that gave us light switches. They first introduced them in a kit release, I want to say like 2 days before. But yeah, I think my last build, I finished building it before the update, and when I started building this, it was after the update, so I think I included light switches in all the rooms, or like all of the essential rooms. But yeah, over here is the sunroom that I include. I don't know what's actually in this sunroom, I don't remember from the movie, so I just treat it as like an indoor gardening space. There's some trellis that I add from the high school years EP, and also some seating or like a lounge area, just because I guess another headcanon of mine is that Coraline likes to spend some time around her parents whenever they're busy with work, which would explain the couch and the dining again and the lounge chair here in the sunroom. And I guess she kind of does that, or goes outside exploring in the backyard, or just chats with the other residents. And it's not shown here in the footage, but I also end up adding an activity table for when the whole family has time to sit around playing cards under the sun. And right over here is Coraline's room. First thing I'd like to mention is that the room itself is not in that signature yellow that we often see Coraline wearing in the movie. I think my main inspiration was a blue sweater that was gifted to her by the other mother. It also has, I think, a star pattern or design on it, so that would explain why there's like some sort of space theme going on. But yeah, basically this room is just another big inspiration from whatever I seem to remember. I used a canopy bed to reference her actual bed in the movie. It's just in a different color and size than what's shown. But of course, we just have to make do with what we have. Honestly, I think her room is still pretty cozy despite this. In addition to all the kid clutter, I do end up adding a desk in here because I think she would appreciate having her own little space to kind of feel safe. But yeah, on the wall next to the desk, there's a space where I add a calendar and a postboard for postcards just because she is moving from a different location. And I also end up adding a few hand decorations because there's a scene in the movie where we see the beldam's hand kind of like detached from herself. I don't know, I thought it was a cute detail to add. But with that, we can finally move on to the parents' room. So already you can probably tell that there won't be that much detail for this bedroom. With the home office and the various planners I added around the house, I would like to think that I used the other spaces well enough to sort of flesh out my headcanons. And speaking of the office, I decided not to include that footage of me furnishing that. Besides a desk and bookcases, I also added a chess table for gameplay purposes, and I think that was pretty much it. Anyways, I don't really remember much of their actual personalities because most of the screenplay was of them being really clueless about Coraline's situation, but I think I grasped what makes sense for this build. So that octagonal nook that we saw downstairs is also included in this bedroom. No, I don't add another piano, I instead placed another odd couch from the cats and dogs to fill up that space. Similarly to how the dining tables, the little couch areas for Coraline, I think that this would be a place for the mom to take a few steps back from whatever task is at hand, whether that's work or managing the house. The movie shows her to be a bit stern at times, but also hardworking, so maybe this is where she gets to relax for a little bit. I do think that the room here is a little bit dark in this corner, so I do add some wall lights. I don't usually add wall lights just because I think that's a bit old-fashioned, at least compared to my house, which was built like early 2000s. But here we are, finally decorating the last and final bedroom. So if you're not familiar with the story of Coraline, there is a cat character that sort of becomes an ally for Coraline. I won't really say friend because he's very cryptic, I suppose. But again, headcanon, Coraline's family actually ends up adopting this cat, and considering her personality, I think he would deserve a room of his own. And fun fact, this is also the largest room, so yeah. I also thought it was a little weird if there was a staircase from the ground floor leading up to either Coraline's or the bedroom of the parents. So yeah. In addition to all of the cat trees, cat beds, cat toys, and all that, I do decide to add a second kind of cozy little living area. I recently bought the Paranormal stuff pack, and this couch was super cozy. I know it's a bit more modern, but I thought the space could kind of do well, and maybe the cat enjoys the couch. But we are pretty much done with the build. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed and would like to see more TV show or movie inspired builds, be sure to let me know. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!